How's everybody doing? Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses, guys. We're broadcasting live. We are in the historic section of downtown Portsmouth, not too far from where we live. We decided we were going to do a quick staycation and make sure that we spend some good quality time. I know that has become my new love language. You know why I think that is?
I rubbed off on you.
You rubbed off on me. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, today we're going to talk about, we're launching a brand new series. If you're just jumping in, we're launching a brand new series. It's called The Sticky Factor. And we're going to talk about the one thing that if you don't have this in your relationship, it will not cause you guys to stay attracted. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit. But for those of you all who don't know me, my name's Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. And this beautiful, lovely, young, light-skinned lady with the red lipstick on today.
It's Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship and life balance coach. And it's great to be with you guys this morning. We are enjoying a lovely weekend, as Glenn said. We having a little staycation.
Yep.
We are strong proponents of dating.
Yep, date night.
Continuing to spend quality time after you get married. We're 20 years in.
Yep.
And we still continue to invest in our relationship. And this is one way that we do it. Just getting a little time away.
Just a little time.
Outside of your environment.
Yeah.
Ain't got to be nothing deep. But getting to spend some dedicated time, just the two of you.
Absolutely. So, guys, do me a favor if you can. If you can share this broadcast out some kind of way, if you can tag somebody, perhaps if you are a brand new viewer, here's what we do want you to do. We want you to go ahead and chime in on the chat and just put first timer.
And let us know where you're from.
Yep.
Let us know where you're joining us from. And also how you heard about us.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you find out about us? You spilling your coffee?
I'm spilling. You were supposed to keep talking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So
I got distracted.
No, you're supposed to keep talking while I'm doing this. You're supposed to be continuing to talk. Share a little bit.
Hi, guys. No, so
this is terrible. Anyway, so guys, very quickly, I just want everybody to know really quickly while we're waiting for a bunch of people to jump in the room. Linwood, good to see you. Wanda Briscoe, good to see you, my friend. Good morning. Cherie and I have been married for 20 years in a row. This couple of weeks ago, we celebrated 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I know that there have been some things that have consistently worked for us on a regular basis. And we really want to talk a little bit about that. Jasmine, thanks for jumping in. Good morning. Jacqueline says good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure that you guys do us a huge favor and share this out. Tag somebody. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. We really want you guys to get involved with what it is that we're doing. We're relationship coaches. For those of you guys that don't know, Cherie and I, between the two of us, have written 7 books. And I think that we've had an opportunity to impact quite a few people. Right. I'd like to think so over the last not only 2 to 3 years, particularly with our MAPS community, but, babe, we've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah, we've been doing this pretty much the entire time of our relationship. We've been pouring into other people. And I think that for us, we like to say we had an unfair advantage. We both had been married before and have failed marriages. And I think when we got into our relationship, we brought a certain insight because we had failed marriages.
Right. I'm going to turn this light.
We were able to cheat a little bit because we knew what not to do.
Absolutely.
And so we've been able to pour into other people and help them through some of the challenges that they faced in their relationships because of the stuff that we had been through. And we just try to help people to not go through the trauma and the heartache that we went through. And so that developed, I know for me, my passion for working with women, my passion for helping people in relationships, because I saw unhealthy relationships. I was in unhealthy relationships, and I had the failed marriages in the past. And I just wanted to see people succeed. And we've been able to learn the skill sets necessary to be able to have a successful and healthy and functional relationship.
Absolutely.
We've had our challenges.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
But we've learned how to work through them.
And we still have challenges. That's the thing I think that, babe, people don't really, I don't know what it is in our society that thinks that we arrive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's this thing where, well, by now I shouldn't have to, or by now I should have already, or by now, and so we have these, I think, unrealistic benchmarks that really say that we don't have to do the work anymore. We don't have to change anymore. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges for most people in relationships is that they don't know how to navigate change. So real quick, we're going to go back to the chat. Karen says good morning. Danae says good morning. Karen says yes. We've impacted you. I appreciate you, Karen. It's always great to see how God is working with you and growing you. Good morning to Wilma. Wilma, you made it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, do us a huge favor if you can. Tag somebody, even if you have to jump over to Facebook and share out the link that we just did. We just did a live on Facebook. Share that to somebody because we're going to drill down over the next 30 minutes or so, and we're going to help you guys understand when we talk about the sticky factor. There is a component. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called The Tipping Point. Years ago, I read it, years ago. And I was skimming through it, reading it, because I also run a business coaching side of what we do here in the MAPS Relationship Academy, where we get to really help people who are trying to leverage their business, particularly in the social media space, when their end game is to connect with people who are doing relationships on some level. And I was reading through some stuff on that, and Malcolm Gladwell said there is a sticky factor, or stickiness factor, he calls it, where there are certain businesses, babe, that they do things that cause people not only to be attracted to them, but want to stay and grow with them as a brand. And They do it really well.
Right. And one of the best examples of that is Apple.
Yeah.
You think about Apple products. People that go over to Apple products, they become Apple enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
They never go back. It's like once you go Apple, you
just don't go back.
It's like you become so attached to that brand.
Yep.
Due to a number of reasons, due to the service, due to the you just become committed
the product.
to it.
There's 1,000 reasons.
Right. You become committed to it. And there's something in relationships. There's a sticky factor that if you have that in your relationships, it'll create that same kind of bond, that same type of connection where no matter what you go through, no matter what issues you face, you guys are so glued together that you'll be able to make it through it. And I'm going to give you a secret. It's not love.
No, it's not.
It's not love.
No,
love is not enough.
It's not enough. And guys, for those of you all who follow us, you'll understand that, Cherie and I, man, we learned a long time ago that love isn't enough because the way most people love is a noun kind of way of loving. It really is centered on how you feel. Y'all heard people say, well, I ain't feeling him no more. We ain't talking. Like, there's never been a time that you and I have gone through a period in our life as a married couple where we have not been talking.
No.
Would you agree? I mean, when I say talking, meaning I'm talking about people that we get to coach.
Right.
I know people who shut down and go days literally with no conversation.
Right. No, we've never done that.
That's never happened. No. There's never been times where I've had to sleep on the couch.
No.
There's never...
You've fallen asleep on the couch and I come get you.
Right.
You come to bed.
Talking about, boy, come on, wake up and go to bed.
Right.
But I've never,
you've never been put in the doghouse or none of that.
You've never gone to your mama's house. Like I'm
leaving.
We haven't done that, guys, and one of the reasons why is because of this sticky factor.
Right.
Before we get into what that is, I want you guys to just chime in for a quick minute, and raise your hand or put a 1 in the chat if you struggle with the same argument in your relationship over and over and over again, right? You maybe you're 5 years in, you're 10 years in, and there's this same elephant in the room that kind of comes back over and it's like you never get past that. If you want to be transparent for a moment, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. And it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. It doesn't have to mean that y'all falling out about it, but it's the same issue, if you will. It's sort of an elephant in the room. If that's you, put a 1 in the chat. I want to speak to that for a quick second.
Right. And I think sometimes people have these recurring issues that happen in their relationships because they never really deal with it. And so it's like you skate over it, you skim over it, and it just keeps reoccurring. It keeps coming back, it keeps coming back. And the thing that I like to say, usually when people say there's an elephant in the room, it didn't start as an elephant. It started as this little gnat.
a little baby elephant.
It was smaller than a baby elephant. It started as a gnat,
right? And
it grew, and you watched it grow over time, and you never addressed it. You saw the little gnat, you just swatted it away.
Yeah,
when gnats, you walk through a thing of gnats, you just swat them away,
right?
And then it becomes a fly. It gets bigger. It's this other thing, and it's more annoying.
And it just continues to morph.
But you just keep ignoring it. You keep blowing past it. And then next thing, over time, because it didn't happen overnight, over time you look up and there's this big elephant sitting in the corner. It's like every time you look over there, you're getting pissed off, but you never addressed the issue. You never really dealt with it. And usually when people have these recurring issues, it's because you had that gnat that you never dealt with. You never truly dealt with it. Now, you may have said something, but you never really dealt with it. The two of you never really sat down and really, really dealt with the issue.
You getting a little ahead of yourself. Rahima is back. Good to see you, sis. Nikkei is in the room. Tawana Rice is in the room.
Good morning.
Renee is in the room. I appreciate you guys for jumping in. We are away on a little bit of a staycation. I remember earlier in our marriage and in our relationship,
we used to do this.
Do this all the time.
We're getting back to that.
We are getting back to that. Like once a quarter at least, we would just go because we were living in the DMV during that time. It wasn't nothing for us to run up to Philly or run up to Baltimore or run down to Richmond or just somewhere in the area that we could just kind of spend some time. So we're in the area, one of the area with downtown, the historic section of Portsmouth, beautiful section of the city. And our friends, we've got some friends that are celebrating 21 years in a row. They never had a real wedding. And so tonight they're going to have the wedding that they never had, renewing their vows. I'm so excited for them. Shout out to Eric and Ellison. We love them. And so we're going to be celebrating with them tonight. But we decided last night we would come early, check in, enjoy ourselves, stay all day. Tonight, sleep in, stay until tomorrow.
The whole weekend.
Because one of the things, and I'm talking about the sticky factor, Cherie and I learned a long time ago. If there isn't a component, listen to me really carefully, guys, in your relationship that draws you to the relationship is in trouble. I'm going to say that again. If there isn't a sticky factor, if there isn't a thing that's in your relationship that causes you guys to over time continue to be drawn back to the relationship, your relationship is in trouble. It's not a matter of if, it's when. In our coaching academy, we get to coach couples all the time. By the way, if you want to be a part of the MAPS community, Marriages and Parenting Successfully, we certainly would want to invite you to. Maybe Karen or somebody will drop the link in the chat so that you guys can find out more information about that. But don't worry about it, babe. But at this particular point, what I really want to focus on is that when we work with these people, babe, we clearly see that there isn't a sticky factor. The sticky factor isn't in it. Let me tell y'all something, and we're going to tell you what it is in a second. Because over the next couple of weeks, we're going to drill down on this. We're going to actually have guests on the show. We're going to go back to our normal place where we broadcast live, and shout out to Custom Homes of Virginia. And so we're going to be back there next week, and we're going to drill down on this little by little, component by component over the next couple of weeks, because we're leading up to a workshop that we're going to do probably in March. And I'm excited about it because it's the core thing that causes relationships to become derailed more than any other one thing. After 20 years in our relationship, almost 20 years of working with people, the last 3 years really intensely in our coaching academy, can you say that this one thing is the one thing that's causing it to come unraveled and unglued?
Yeah, this one area is essential. It'll either make or break your relationships. It'll make or break it. It's this one thing. And we talk about it in some of our books. We talk about it in our books, Marriage Works When You Do the Work. In that book, we talk about 5 components, but this one component, this one thing is essential.
When it's not there, it makes a difference. So somebody do me a favor. Y'all do me a favor. Start guessing. What do you think that one thing is? What do you think the sticky factor in a relationship is? And really, it's really summed up in really one word. And I want you guys, and most of you guys, y'all smart. Y'all, somebody will figure this one out. But babe, it's really so simple that if people are not careful, they'll miss it. They'll miss it. And they will not recognize it for the power it brings to the table. When it's right, it's good. But when it's wrong, being in that relationship will suck.
And to give you guys a tip, this one thing works you need this in all relationships. Not just your relationship with your spouse, not just your relationship with your kids. You need it in relationships at work. You need it in relationships with your friends. It's the one thing that's the glue to all relationships. It's essential to have healthy functional relationships. Now, you can have relationships that aren't healthy, that aren't functional without this. But in order for it to truly be a healthy and functional relationship, you need this one thing.
Yep.
Y'all been watching us too long.
Y'all been watching us. So Jacqueline
too long.
says communication. Karen says non-communication. Danae says communication. I don't know who Turtle King Jr. is, but a Turtle King, if you could put your name, I'd love to call you by your government name, my friend. Communication, though. I love it. Wanda Briscoe, communication. Who else we got? Tawana.
We got liking each other.
Linwood is saying communication. You down at the bottom of the list. Patricia McCullough says trust. Okay. I love it. Growth.
Honesty.
Ooh.
Rahima said
honesty. I love it. All these things are good, guys. But listen, if you put communication,
give yourself a pat on the back.
Give yourself a real pat on the back. We have found, and there are statistics that prove this over and over and over again, that the number one reason why relationships come unglued, it's not because of infidelity. It's not because of the lack of finances or the money issues, if you will. It is purely and only, and it's head above heels. Mm-hmm. It's always communication.
But we talk.
But
I told him.
No, but you didn't tell him.
But I did.
Well, when did you tell him?
I told him, and I said I don't like it, and he still keeps doing it. And
well, then the problem is that you said it. You didn't communicate it.
But isn't saying it the same thing as communicating?
Mm-mm.
But I told him I was leaving. I was mad. I was leaving out the house, and I told him I don't like when you do this. Don't do it anymore.
That's talking. Talking is not communicating.
Talking is communicating. I talk all the time.
No, there are people.
I talk to my kids, and I tell them what I need them to do, and they just keep doing what they want to do. They don't listen to me, but I'm telling them what I want them to do.
Well, that's not communicating, because what about the person who can't physically talk? Are you saying that they communicate? That they can't communicate because they can't talk? See, the truth of the matter is,
but that's
it's okay. It's okay. Y'all hear how this dialogue goes? And that's what happens. When we see this in parents, I said it to them. I told them. This is what I want. Right. Y'all know what I expect. Mm-hmm. Y'all know what it is if you come from that family. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what time it is.
Right.
But the challenge is, babe, is that we are so busy talking that we miss a significant component of communication. I'll say it this way. Talking is one half.
Right. What's the other half?
The other half is listening. Let me give y'all a news flash. First of all, and you guys, if you've heard us any length of time, you will know this to be true. And you've heard us say this over and over again. But communication itself is an actual skill set.
Right.
I want y'all to just think about that for a second. You have to develop a certain set of skills to drive correctly. You have to develop a certain set of skills to practice law. You have to develop a certain set of skills to be an efficient or a good writer. You have to, these are hard skills. You have to develop a certain set of skills if you are going to be in the IT industry and you're going to work on computers and different things like that. You're going to have to, y'all hear where I'm going? Everything in life that's worth doing is going to require a certain skill set.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is that if you don't have a skill in something, you are going to lose. I'll give you an example. In sports, they have what they call skilled positions. Positions that take a certain specific skill set. Mm-hmm. A quarterback is a skilled position. And the reason why is there is a certain amount of particular, very minute skills that have to be honed properly in order to be able to do that well. Technically, anybody can block. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a skill set involved in blocking, but it's not generally, linemen are not generally considered skilled positions because of the technicality of what they do. It's not nearly as advanced as, say, a quarterback. Does that make sense?
Right.
And the reason why is because the quarterback has to think about actually all phases of the game, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So whereas, a lineman only has one assignment. It's the guy in front of him. That's it.
You got one job.
He got one job. Keep that dude from getting to my quarterback.
Right.
That's my job, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the quarterback got to worry about the lineman's job. He got to worry about the wide receiver's job.
Right,
He's
right.
got to be concerned about the running back's job. He's got to be concerned about the safety job on the other team. Y'all hear where I'm going? And so there are a certain set of skills that causes him, and the ones who are great at it have honed those skills over years. If I switch that to relationships, communication is the one thing, the one sticky factor that you and I got right early on, and we continue to build on that, and we're still building on that 20 years in.
Right, right. And I think we realized very early on, it's one thing to talk to a person, but if the person doesn't hear you and understand what you're saying,
Yep.
then you're just talking in the air.
How do you know that a
And
person
so-
has understood you, babe?
That they can repeat back what it is that they heard, that their actions demonstrate that they understood what it is that you asked of them or what you expressed to them that you wanted them to do, or whatever the issue was, they're able to reciprocate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens in relationships, and like I said, this is even outside of your marriage, outside of with your children, just in relationships, period. Even if you think about on the job, your supervisor may talk. You have these people that are just talking heads.
Mm-hmm.
They just talk. But if people their actions aren't demonstrating what it is that you've asked or what you've said,
Yep.
then there's a disconnect somewhere. And I don't think that we pay attention to that. I think that we say, well, I said it. I told them. But if
And I ain't saying it no more.
Right. But if their actions are not reciprocating what it is that you said, whatever your expectations were that you communicated, then there's a disconnect. Because somewhere they didn't understand
Clearly.
what you were saying. So say you're a supervisor and you express to your team, hey, I need you guys to do A, B, C, and D. They don't do A, B, C, and D.
Right.
They might do A. And
So
you're like, okay, so we got this deadline due. I need you guys to get this done.
Yep.
And they don't do it. And they repeatedly don't do it. And repeatedly don't do it.
Clearly,
somewhere
there's
a disconnect. Obviously, they didn't hear you. They didn't understand the gravity of what you were trying to express to them. You were just talking.
Right.
And so it's your fault that they didn't understand. It's not their fault because you didn't communicate it effectively. So you can't get mad at them.
I love it.
Because they didn't understand. They obviously didn't comprehend what you were saying. So that's where you have to have the conversation over and make sure they have understanding.
If I could interject, babe, this is particularly critical with children.
Yes.
When you are parenting, and we learned this the hard way, many times what you say and what they hear are two different things.
Oh, yes.
And I need y'all to fundamentally understand that. That's why it's important for you not to take it personal that you have to say the same thing twice or three times until they understand it.
Right. That's like, so you come home from work and you're like, hey, you're telling teacher, I need you to go wash the dishes. They hear, wash the dishes. Now, what you meant to say, what you were saying was go wash the dishes now.
Right.
You didn't say go wash the dishes now.
Right. You said I need you to wash the dishes.
You said I need you to wash the dishes. So they thinking I'm going to do it before I go to bed.
Or whenever I get around
when I get to it.
Right.
So then you go upstairs, you change clothes, you get yourself settled, you come downstairs, why the dishes ain't washed? I'm going to get to them. I said go wash the dishes. I need you to I need you to wash the dishes.
But I'm going to do that, Ma. I mean, I'm doing my homework.
Go do the dishes right now. Didn't I tell you to go do the dishes?
Y'all hear how that escalates?
You didn't say, hey, do me a favor, I need to go ahead and go clean up the kitchen now so that when I come downstairs, it's finished so that I can go ahead and cook dinner.
Then you go ahead and you take it a step further and say,
Did you hear what I said?
Did you hear what I said? No. What did you hear me say?
Right. Because
especially if you got a child, listen to me carefully.
Zia.
Right. We're talking about our grandchild. Who literally
in the screen light.
She has such an active mind. She is not on your page. Okay. She don't even have to have a device or a book in front of her. She can just be zoned out somewhere in her world and has not heard a single thing. And so
they heard dishes.
That's all they heard. Dishes. Like one of the. So what happens is that yes, Tawana, not only direct and concise, but very, very specific.
Right.
And you have to communicate that way consistently until they begin to understand what you mean by certain things.
And also,
there are things that you say to me now that I do know what you mean when you say that.
Right.
But it's because years ago, you drilled all the way down and consistently drove home, particularly when the kids were home. No, when I say this, this is what I mean when I say that.
Right. Right.
And there was a dialogue about that, and we understood it.
And I think the part of that you have to realize is that when you're speaking to another person, they're learning your language. So it's like if you go and go to Spain and you don't know Spanish, you have to immerse yourself in the culture and learn that language.
Yep.
So you may know Spanish,
Yep.
but the dialect is slightly different actually in Spain.
That's good.
And so even though we both speak English, I have to learn his dialect. I have
That's
to learn
good.
his language.
That's good.
And so I have to remember that when I'm communicating, he doesn't understand my language. We're both speaking English, but
it's
he
a
doesn't
different
understand.
dialect.
He doesn't understand my dialect.
That's
So
good.
I need to make sure that I am clear in what I'm saying.
Remember that time when we moved to Atlanta? We lived in Maryland all our lives, right? And in 2006, we moved to be a part of a church plant. About 20 families relocated from Maryland to Atlanta to be a church, to build and to basically plant a church in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'll tell you the truth, guys. we were on our way. I don't know where we were going. We were driving somewhere, and I pulled over into the gas station to get some gas. Now, I later found out this was the hood. Like, this wasn't just the hood. Like, folks died regularly in this area. I didn't know that.
You act like you ain't from Baltimore.
No, babe. Listen, Baltimore and Atlanta's hoods look different. I'm sorry. Now, I could tell. Let me say it this way. I don't judge. So just because the houses are broken down.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay, because I'm just making
I'm
sure.
just messing with
You putting it in the atmosphere. Y'all hear me clarifying? That's what communication looks like, because I didn't know she was joking. So, yeah, I'm on to something. I got to get this story out.
Sorry.
It's going to take longer if you keep doing it.
I'm distracting you.
Yeah, you are.
I apologize.
Because my ADD is just off the... But look, guys, listen.
Oh, gosh.
Real quick, though, I pull in, I get out to go in to pay for my gas, and then before I know it, this guy pulls up behind me, and he jumps out, hey, folk, hey. Yo, I'm just saying, hey. And he just started going in. Now, guys, real talk. I didn't understand what in the world he was saying. He was, Sam Cud, here it is. Now, I was coming in there, and then I went over there, and then boom, and then bam, and then, I mean, what up, folk? What up? Now, here's what I was able to figure out. I was in trouble. Now, I knew clearly this wasn't good. So I'm saying to myself, what in the world? And I'm saying, you see here, I got my good, and then you cut me off, and then boom, and then bang. I mean, what it is, folks? What it is? I said, Lord, I think he's saying that I cut him off on purpose. I think he think that. I didn't even see him. So I had to say, excuse me, sir. First of all, let me just say this. I apologize. I'm not sure what I did. But whatever I did, I just want to apologize. Yeah, already. And so I saw him sort of kind of calming down. And I said, okay, this is good. And so I said, I apologize. I said, so what was it? What was happening? And then he slowed down. And then he was able to say, I was trying to turn in there. And you just ran and just cut me out, bro. I mean, what up with that? I said, sir, I apologize, man. I never saw you. I should have probably had my blinker on. And that was totally my bad, my friend. I apologize. And I just shut up. And he looked at me, and his girl was sitting in the car, and she was looking at him, and she was like, y'all know how y'all get, right? She, like, I don't know if he told him, all right, you can let him go this time, honey. So the bottom line was, my heart was beating and carrying. I ain't got time for no drama. So the bottom line is, guys, is that he was talking, but I wasn't hearing, and so I didn't understand. So
right,
did you want?
Right, you didn't understand the dialect.
That's the point. Right. I didn't understand. Y'all see how she had to bring me back? I did not. Look, Wilma is cracking up. Wanda, like, y'all stop. Like, Danae, you know, you live in Lawrenceville. You already know what it is. Vivian, y'all laughing. Mike,
you don't know.
You don't know? Hey, Mike, look, Southeast and Southwest Atlanta are two different dialects, brother. I promise you. You get what I'm saying? So I said all that to say, guys, it becomes incumbent upon the person who's communicating who's actually doing the speaking to ensure that the person who is doing the receiving is in fact receiving. He wasn't doing that.
Right.
So I had to play both roles real quick because I'm saying to myself, it's about to be a situation,
Right,
and this is on a humble.
Right. And so it's essential that when you communicate, when you express to even your spouse, when you're sharing something with them, that you, whether it's your expectations or whatever, whenever you have a conversation, that they clearly understand you. And one thing that we practice, a tip that we'll give you is that we practice very early on in our relationship in order to improve our communication. When I would share something with Glenn, a concern, anything that I had, after I finished talking, I would ask him, so what did you hear me say? Mm-hmm. And inevitably, especially in the beginning, he didn't hear all of what I said. Mm-hmm. He would come back and be like, that's not what I said.
Right.
That's not what I was saying.
I'm like, well, but you did say that because
you said you was mad at me because I left the bread on the counter. No, that's not what I said. I was asking you, after you eat, when you take out bread, I noticed that there are crumbs on the counter all the time. Can you please just wipe up the crumbs?
Right.
So you telling me I can't eat bread in the house. Nobody said that. It's like, where'd you get that from? It's like, it would be way off.
Right.
I mean, it's like, that's
it
not.
It would be like
because
that.
It's like, you have to realize that people, until they develop they grow in their listening skills.
Yeah.
And listening to your dialect, they're going to hear pieces. They're getting sound bites while you're talking.
Yeah.
Most people are not good listeners.
Yeah. Please say that again, babe.
Most people are not good listeners naturally.
Right.
And so they listen, but their mind is off on 50 billion different things.
And we're going to drill down on that over the next couple of weeks, guys, helping you to understand the difference between hearing and listening and how to get from hearing to listen. I had to grow really, really, really a lot in that area.
Right, because Glenn was like those cartoons. He'd be sitting there listening, but he got you'd see all these little bubbles going off in his head because he's thinking about 50 billion things. He's looking over there. He's sitting there. To me, it looks like he's being attentive, but his mind is like that ADD. He's like all over the place. And so when I'd ask him, I was like, so what did you hear me say? You wanted me to go buy some bread?
Right.
I just had a 30-minute conversation with you.
And that's all you
got?
Y'all ever have a conversation with somebody and you be like, how did you get that out of that?
Right. But people have to learn. They have to develop their listening skills in your dialect. And so you have to be patient with people and you have to help them to learn how to listen. You can't get frustrated because they didn't hear you. That's where you have to sit down, take the time, even with your kids. And it's an exercise you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through this back and forth initially to make sure that they understand you. Because either you're going to get frustrated trying to communicate it or you're going to get frustrated because they didn't hear you and didn't do what you asked them to do or what you shared.
Right,
so I'd rather deal with the frustration on the front end. And not frustration, I'd rather put in the time on the front end than to be frustrated on the back end.
Yes, listen, I'm trying to look at the comments, guys, because y'all are going on. What's going on, my friend Danielle in South Africa? Good to see you chiming in. My brother Wanda said, yeah, I lived in Atlanta for 25 years, so I can relate.
What is
Right.
What that mean?
What it is, folks? What it is? What it is? What
is it, sir?
So you gonna say?
How are you doing today?
That's what he's gonna say. What it is really the exact translation, but he's really saying, "What's up? How you feeling?
What's going on?
What's going on? Good morning, even what it is, folks. So you gotta right. So most people are not good listeners. You're right, Karen. Nikkei said this. They're infusing, and she's talking about when the person is listening or so-called listening is not really paying attention. It's because they're infusing their perceptions and perspectives into what you're saying.
That's good, Nikkei.
We're going to get into that's powerful, Nikkei. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into that over time. How do you, and this is a question, I want y'all just to think about this. You don't have to answer because we're going to answer this later. But how do you get a person to become a good listener? How do you communicate in a way that makes it easier for someone to hear you and then turn that into actually listening? And then here's the next step, actually doing or carrying out what it is that you want. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to get kids to do something that you've asked them to do the first time?
The first time. It is.
I believe it is. And the reason why is because we've done it and we've trained people to do it. Is it possible to get your spouse to understand what you're saying without it ensuing, without an argument ensuing? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Now, I do want to say this. It's going to take patience and it's going to take effort on your part, especially with your children.
Yep.
And often with parents, we want to say something and just want them to get it. The thing you have to realize, especially this generation of children, because they have so much exposure to so many things, they got so many things distracting them, you're going to have to slow down.
Yep.
And sit down with them, make sure they're not distracted.
Yep.
Get their undivided attention, and explain to them what it is that you're asking them to do.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
For my old school parents, you're like, I ain't got to explain nothing.
I ain't doing all that.
I said, do it, just do it.
Is that what I said?
You can do that.
I just want to know how's that working for you.
But more than likely, you're going to be frustrated because they don't. This is a new breed of children.
Right.
I'm sorry. It just is what it is.
It might as well accept it.
Right. This is a new breed. I'm not saying that you have to explain it in the sense that you're getting permission from them for them to do something, but I think that you do owe it because children are much more intelligent today than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. They just, because they're exposed to so much more, so much sooner in life, you do yourself a disservice if you don't take the time to explain to them. Like, even so, say it's chores around the house. You want to sit your kids down after dinner, y'all finish eating. Okay, guys, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about, look, I need some help around the house. I go to work every day. I come home. And I need you guys to be more involved in the house. And so, in order to help me, so that mommy doesn't get frustrated, so I'm not, fussing at you guys every day, this is what I'm going to need you guys to do.
Yep.
So-and-so, I need you when you get home from school to do this, this, and this, and this. That should only take you about 30 minutes to do. It's not a lot of time out of your day. But if you could do that, that would help me greatly, because then I can come home and I can cook dinner, because I don't have to come home and clean up the kitchen. I don't have to fuss at you guys when I get home.
Yep.
It's a 15-minute conversation.
Yep.
That's going to save you in the in the long run from having 40-minute conversations with them every day when you come home and being frustrated for an hour.
Right. And I got to interject on that point, babe, because the truth of the matter is that what most people do is they say, I'm not doing all of that. All of that takes 15 minutes.
Right.
And if it takes 15 minutes a week, because you have to remind them, parents, listen to me really carefully. Our job as parents is to train children. I'm going to say that again. Please hear me. Our job as a parent
is to train
is
them.
not to raise them. Hear me clearly. They can raise themselves.
To what, though?
Boo.
That's a whole nother.
Let that breathe. Children all day long, every day. You go to parts of South America. You go to parts of South Africa. You go to parts of of whatever city you in.
Right.
Name the city. It don't even matter.
Right. There are children raising
There
themselves.
are children every day who are raising themselves because the parent isn't available.
Right.
No disrespect on anybody. I'm not judging nobody. It is what it is. So here's what we know. Your job ain't to raise them. Your job is to train them. And the problem is that we're getting to the place that when those children are ready to leave home, they haven't been properly trained. And when they're not properly trained, they do not carry out the things that they need to do. So that means at 18 years old, he cannot, because he doesn't have the skill set in order to, or the patience level or the level of focus to fill out a college application. So he doesn't. And as a result of that, he doesn't go. Not because he shouldn't be in college, but because he hasn't been trained. And if you're the kind of parent that said, well, if you don't do it, and then it ain't going to get done. And at this particular point, he's not doing it because he hasn't been trained. Not because he's just dumb.
Right.
Or she's just stupid.
Right.
I need us to shift.
Right.
And I'm harping on that point on purpose, guys, because over the next couple of weeks, we're going to help you to save your relationships. Some of y'all's relationships with your children suck. Some of y'all's relationships with your spouses stink. Some of y'all's relationships with your significant others is just insignificant.
Right.
And you need to figure out, how do you get this sticky factor working for you as opposed to working against you because it's not present.
Right. And I think the thing is that we have to be honest with ourselves. You have to be honest and realize, okay, I haven't gotten this right. I've missed it in some areas. It's okay.
Yep.
I can fix it now.
Yep.
I can work on it.
Only if you're self-aware.
Right. And so you got to be honest with yourself. Stop walking around with these blinders on and pretending like,
It's the
I'm
generation.
good. I'm good.
I did my job. No, you didn't.
No, I mean, I think that we have to be honest with
Not
ourselves.
if you ain't self-aware.
Right, with our children, with our spouses and the relationships that we're in. If you have not done everything that you can do, and that means trying something different, because if what you're doing is not working, then if you're having challenges, try something different.
Guys, blow it up. We used to do that all the time.
Right.
We would do things with our kids, or we would do things in our relationship, and we would clearly find out, wait a minute, this ain't working.
Right.
I tell mothers in our parenting workshops all the time, fussing doesn't work. If it did, you wouldn't have to do it over and over and over again.
One time.
You would fuss one time and that would be it because it worked. Well, obviously, fussing doesn't work.
Because you have to keep doing it.
So the question becomes, well, what does? Ooh, good question.
Right.
How about we drill down on that?
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that you're going to have to be trained. Now, I will give you guys a pass. I'm going to give all of y'all a pass. Give yourself a pass if no one ever modeled that training for you.
Right.
Right? So this is not to come down on you and make you feel less than. This is really to wise you up to say, okay, if I've not been trained, then how can I train her in something that I don't even know? Right. I can't lead you to a place I've never been.
Right.
Does that make sense? So here's what we want you guys to do. Number one, I want you to tune in over the next couple of weeks. Number two, consider joining the MAPS community. The Marriages and Parenting Successfully Relationship Academy is designed specifically to help couples, to help parents, to help singles, to help men, to help women in separate group coaching environments to build the skills that it takes to make those relationships successful. That's all we do on those nights. Yes, it's an investment, but I guarantee you what you're getting here is just the surface of what, because you don't have the community that they have. You don't have the accountability. I don't, you tune into YouTube, you don't. You tune into YouTube, you don't.
Right.
But in that group, you have the accountability because you're vested at that particular point.
Right, and we don't hear on, here with Breakfast and Approach, we don't get to hear your individual stories and get to speak to that directly.
That's a good one.
You're getting cliff notes, basically, by coming on the show. And we appreciate you guys joining us.
Absolutely.
But if you want to take your relationship to the next level, if you want to get some more intense training, some more intense... Direct interaction where you can get your specific situation dealt with directly, please join us in the MAPS Relationship Academy. You can join us at go to www.thecrcoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery session with us, where one of us will chat with you and see if you're a fit, if we're a fit for you, and we can get you into the Relationship Academy.
Yep. Guys, listen, let me just say this, and I'm just trying to type this in, baby, really quickly so that everybody can have it.
Or Karen, guys, you can put it in.
Karen, I don't know if Karen is still on, but I just want to do this. Guys, listen to me very carefully. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be drilling down on how do you make the sticky factor work for you. How do you, thecrcoach.com. Okay, great. So how do you, I'll put it in the chat. That's the link you go to. Sign up for a free discovery session and make sure that you guys connect with us. MAPS is the guide to winning. Angela Farrell, Thomas, thanks, sis.
Thank you.
Shout out to all of you guys who are doing this work. We're super proud that you guys spend this time with us, because here's what I also know, that until you get in an environment where what you want to be winning at is being modeled and demonstrated, you never have the opportunity to win in that area. It wasn't until Cherie and I found a community years ago. God just worked it out that we found ourselves in the very early years of our marriage for years in a community that helped us drill down on these areas. And so we created that same kind of environment, but just virtually, so that whether you're in Atlanta or Toronto, if you're in South Africa or if you're in Southeast DC, you can come into this Zoom room. It's a live group coaching environment. We can see each other. We can talk. We can share. I love it when people share their specifics, so that we can speak to that specifically and here are the 3 things that you need to do, and here's the book you need to read. And when you read that book, do me a favor, put the what you got out of it in the closed Facebook group, and let's grow you up and let's help you work that out. We're gonna get ready to get out of here today, guys. I promise you, I'm excited. We have our MAPS Masterclass today. So we're going to do that live right here with those people. If you are a coach, if you are a relationship expert, if you're in any business where you are connecting to people on a regular basis, and relationships is important to your bottom line, and you are looking to figure out how do you leverage the ability to connect to those people, particularly socially on social media, how to build a back end to that business so that you can do things, more of the things that you're passionate about and not the things that you're not passionate about, like running the systems that it takes to be able to do that, then you may want to check us out. It's called the MAPS Masterclass, the intensive. Our second quarter cohort starts in April. And so if you want to know more about that, again, you can go to thecrcoach.com as a result and see if that's something that you'd be interested in. We're going to get out of here for the day today. Guys, I love you. Appreciate you guys. And hopefully this added some value. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Really enjoyed the breakfast. You're welcome, Jacqueline. Enjoy the wedding. We will. This is so needed. Thank you, Wilma. Shout out to Karen. Yes, our MAPS community is absolutely winning. You're welcome, Tawana. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Guys, listen, always remember that at the end of the day, we all need some help. Y'all be good, and we will talk soon.
Bye, guys.